I died on a rainy Tuesday in October. Or, at least that's what the obituary said. But here I was, breathing shallow in the back pew of St. Patrick's Cathedral, watching my own casket get lowered into the family plot like it was some bad dream I couldn't shake. The mourners, my so-called family, dabbed at dry eyes with monogrammed handkerchiefs, whispering about how tragic it was for poor Clara to go so young, felled by that mysterious overdose. Tragic? Bullshit. They'd scripted the whole thing. From the forged prescriptions to the hushed-up autopsy. All to bury me alive in a lie. And as the priest droned on about eternal rest, I clenched my fists in this borrowed skin, vowing they'd pay for every stolen breath. That funeral was just the appetizer. The real feast of deception came 3 days later at the will reading in Grandpa's dusty law office on Wall Street, the kind of place that smelled like old money and older regrets. I'd slipped in late, heart pounding under the ill-fitting blouse of this stranger's body, a wiry frame that still felt like wearing someone else's shoes after a 12-hour shift. The lawyer, Mr. Hargrove, a pinched-faced weasel in a Brooks Brothers suit, cleared his throat and started divvying up the estate. Dad, Richard Harrington, the silver-haired kingpin of Harrington Investments, leaned back in his leather chair, smirking like he'd already won the lottery. My sister, Lydia, scrolled her phone, her Botox-smooth face lit by notifications from her Hamptons influencer feed. Aunt Evelyn fanned herself with the will, cooing about the beach house she'd always adored. And Uncle Victor, the family enforcer with his Wall Street Journal cufflinks, just nodded, his eyes cold as the Hudson in winter. Then Hargrove got to the odd bequest. To my granddaughter, Clara Harrington, he read, pausing for effect. I leave this antique key, found in my safe deposit box. No further instructions. Use it wisely. He slid a small velvet pouch across the mahogany table. The room erupted in chuckles, soft at first, then full-throated guffaws. Dad slapped his knee. Old man's last prank? God. He was losing it at the end. Lydia snorted, snapping a pic for her story. Grandpa's mystery-key fail face with tears of joy family drama. Aunt Evelyn tittered behind her manicured hand. Darling Clara, wherever you are, I hope heaven's got better locks. Uncle Victor just eyed the pouch like it was a bad stock tip, but I saw the flicker, something dark, calculating. They didn't know I was there. Of course. Not the Clara they thought was 6 feet under. The real me, or whatever was left of her, had woken up 2 weeks earlier in a dingy Brooklyn walk-up, staring at a face in the mirror that wasn't mine, sharp cheekbones, faded tattoos snaking up olive-skinned arms, eyes like chipped obsidian. Her name was Maria Delgado, a 29-year-old barista from Queens who'd OD'd on fentanyl-laced coke the night before my death. But when I gasped awake in her cooling body, Maria's memories flooded in, scraps of a hard-knock life, dodging eviction notices, slinging lattes to finance night classes at CUNY, dreaming of escaping the grind. And underneath it all, a void where my own past should be. No, not a void. A lock. A goddamn key-shaped hole in my soul. I snatched the pouch before anyone could pocket it, mumbling excuses about honoring Grandpa's memory in Maria's gravelly accent. They waved me off, already toasting with Hargrove's bourbon to the real prizes, the penthouse on Fifth, the vineyard in Napa, the offshore accounts Dad had managed so well. As I bolted down the fire escape, old habits from Maria's fire drill nightmares, I felt the keys weight like a noose. Grandpa had always been the black sheep, the reclusive inventor holed up in his Adirondacks cabin, tinkering with gadgets no one understood. Science is the only truth, Clara Bear, he'd say, ruffling my hair during those rare visits to the city. The rest is just smoke and mirrors. I'd laughed then. A wide-eyed kid chasing fireflies in Central Park.
Now?
I was the smoke. The mirror cracked wide open. The key led me to Grandpa's brownstone on the Upper West Side, a relic squeezed between glass towers. Its stoop cracked like Grandpa's voice in his final days. The family had let it sit empty since his heart attack last spring, another convenient exit, I suspected. Fumbling with the thing under the porch light, I jammed it into the rusted mailbox slot first. Nothing. Then the cellar grate.
Zilch.
Sweat beaded on my Maria's forehead, the autumn chill biting through my thrift store jacket. Finally, desperation clawed at me. The back door, hidden behind overgrown ivy.
Click.
The tumblers turned like they'd been waiting.
Inside.
The air hung thick with dust and ozone, the kind of scent that screams unfinished experiments. I flicked on a flashlight from Maria's keychain. God. Her life was a survival kit, and swept the beam across the kitchen. Drawers yanked open, yellowed blueprints, scribbled equations in Grandpa's looping script. Neural mapping. Phase 3. Consciousness transference protocols. My stomach twisted. This wasn't some eccentric hobby. This was mad science. The stuff of Black Mirror episodes whispered about in Silicon Alley bars. Upstairs, in his study, the key found its home, a brass plate etched into the bookshelf, disguised as a false spine labeled Moby Dick. One twist, and the panel swung open, revealing a walk-in vault that hummed to life on backup batteries. Monitors flickered, casting green glows over stacks of hard drives, vials of glowing serum, and a sleek helmet wired to what looked like a supercomputer jury-rigged from Radio Shack parts. In the center, a leather-bound journal, its cover stamped with a Harrington crest, a silver fox, sly and unyielding. I sank into the desk chair, the journal heavy in my lap. Grandpa's words leaped out like accusations. October 12th, 2018. Richard came to me tonight, eyes wild, begging for help. Lydia's tests came back, terminal. Leukemia, aggressive. The girl's got months, maybe weeks. He wants a miracle. I warned him, the device isn't ready. It's crude, untested. Swaps the essence, the mind, but the body fights back. Shell shock, they call it. But he's desperate. Offers funding, legacy. I refused. He left threatening to expose the project. Expose me. My pulse thundered. Lydia, my sister, the golden child, dead at 16?
No.
That couldn't wait. The dates. Lydia's miracle recovery had been the family legend, experimental treatment abroad, a second chance. But Grandpa's next entry gutted me. March 5th, 2019. They took her anyway. Broken last night. Victor and his thugs.
Force the swap.
Lydia's mind into the vessel, Clara's body. Healthy.
Young.
And Clara. Poor kid from the foster system. The one Richard adopted on paper. Her essence shoved into Lydia's failing shell. I tried to stop it. They framed me for embezzlement, shipped me off to that cabin like a ghost. But I saved the logs. The key, it's the override. Clara, if you find this, you're not them. Take it back. Make them pay. The room spun. I wasn't Clara Harrington, heiress to the Harrington Empire. I was the foster kid, the disposable one they'd scooped up from a group home in the Bronx, nameless, faceless, perfect for their Frankenstein bargain. They'd pumped Lydia's dying body full of suppressants, let it waste away in secret, while shoving my consciousness into it like overwriting a hard drive. And when Lydia's cured body, mine, grew up, they groomed it, molded it into their perfect puppet. College at Yale on Daddy's dime. Summers in the vineyard. The family name a noose disguised as a necklace. But the overdose? That was their endgame. With Clara out of the picture, the inheritance flowed clean to them, no loose ends. No questions about why the miracle girl never quite fit. They'd dosed her champagne at the Labor Day gala, watched me convulse in the powder room, then called it a tragic relapse. Except the swap tech had a failsafe. Grandpa's hidden code. When the host body flatlines, the mind recoils, seeking the nearest vessel. Maria's overdose synced with mine in some cosmic glitch. And here I was, me, the real Clara, trapped in a stranger's skin, piecing together the theft of my life. Tears burned, hot and foreign in Maria's eyes. Betrayal didn't cover it. This was vivisection of the soul.
Dad.
With his boardroom charm and private jets. Lydia, preening in my stolen face, posting blessed from atop my stolen throne. Victor, the muscle, who'd probably held me down that night in the lab, 16 and terrified, my screams echoing in a body that wasn't mine. They'd robbed me of everything, my blood, my bones, my goddamn birthday. And for what? To cheat death for their princess. To keep the Harrington Fox grinning on the stock exchange. I slammed the journal shut, the monitors beeping like a heartbeat. The helmet stared back, wires dangling like veins. Grandpa's final note. Taped to the visor, the key fits the crown. One use left. Choose wisely. Clara Bear. Revenge is a mirror, it shows you the monster.
2. Outside.
Thunder cracked over the city, rain lashing the windows like applause. I pocketed the key, the serum vials clinking in my bag. They thought they were safe, toasting their victory. But I was coming home. Not as the daughter they buried. As the ghost in the machine, ready to flip the switch. The subway ride back to Maria's apartment was a blur of fluorescent hell. Bodies pressed too close. The screech of brakes mirroring the scream building in my chest. Queens blurred past, neon to Carious. Chain-link fences topped with razor wire. The American dream flickering like a bad bulb. Maria's memories leaked in, her mom's deportation when she was 12, Dad's ghost shifts at the docks. The way she'd trace subway maps on napkins. Plotting escapes to somewhere that doesn't eat you alive. I envied her that fire, even as it scorched me. At least she'd lived her truth. Raw and unfiltered.
Me?
I'd been a marionette. Strings pulled by Harrington hands, dancing to their tune of privilege and poison. Her walk-up was a fourth-floor shoebox off Roosevelt Avenue. The kind of place where roaches threw the parties and the super-ghosted repair requests. I bolted the door 3 locks. Maria's paranoia a gift, and dumped the bag on the sagging futon. The journal splayed open, pages fanning like accusations. I pored over it by phone light, the serum vials glowing faintly on the coffee table scarred with burn marks from her late-night study sessions. Grandpa's notes were a madman's Rosetta Stone, schematics for the neural helmet, chemical formulas for the stabilizer shots, logs of failed tests on lab rats that ended in twitching husks. Synaptic overwrite incomplete. 1 read. Subject retains fragments. Echoes of the donor. Echoes. That explained the nightmares I'd chalked up to stress. Flashes of Lydia's Hampton's cotillions bleeding into my foster home cot. Her horror at my Bronx twang slipping out during family dinners. But the real gut punch was the cover-up. Entries from 2020 detailed Victor's cleanup crew, private investigators, NDAs for the nurses, a payoff to the coroner who signed off on Clara Delgado's death as natural causes. Maria. They'd buried her, in Potter's Field, unmarked, forgotten. No wonder the swap recoiled. Grandpa's failsafe must have pinged her flatline as the anchor, yanking my essence across burrows like a rubber band snap. And Lydia? She'd inherited my body seamlessly, thanks to the suppressants masking the shell shock. Until now. Until I held the override in my palm.
Sleep was a joke that night.
I paced the peeling linoleum, Maria's worn sneakers slapping echoes, plotting in whispers. Direct confrontation? Suicide. They'd lawyer up, spin it as grief-induced delusion, slap me with a psych hold faster than you could say Harrington privilege.
No.
This needed scalpel precision. The kind Dad taught in boardroom wars. Intel first, then the kill shot. By dawn, I'd hacked Maria's ancient laptop, her passwords a mix of Spanish curses and chem formulas, and cross-referenced Grandpa's logs with public records. There, the adoption papers, forged slick as a Ponzi scheme, listing me as Clara Jane Doe, age 15, transferred from St. Agnes group home. But dig deeper, and the threads unraveled. A missing persons report for one Clara Ruiz, vanished from the home the week before. Her files sealed under administrative error. Controversy simmered in every line. Was this mercy or monstrosity? Saving Lydia by snuffing out a nobody in their marble halls? It was probably a TED Talk on legacy preservation. But out here, in the real America of food stamps and foster churn, it was straight-up eugenics. Class warfare with a sci-fi twist. I hated them for it, not just the theft, but the casual cruelty, the way they'd erased me like a bad quarter in their portfolio. Step 1. Reconnaissance. I dyed Maria's dark waves blonde, Lydia's shade, irony biting deep, and hit the thrift racks for a cashmere sweater that screamed, lost relative. Midtown traffic snarled like veins. But by noon, I was loitering in the lobby of Harrington Tower, that glass monolith piercing the sky like Dad's ego. Security eyed me, but the name drop, Harrington family, urgent, got me waved through. The executive floor was a shrine to excess, abstract art that cost more than Maria's yearly rent. Assistants in Louboutins fetching oat milk lattes. Lydia's corner office overlooked Bryant Park, her desk a Pinterest board of empowerment quotes amid deal memos. She didn't look up at first, fingers flying over her MacBook, AirPods in, oblivious. Name, her PA chirped. Clara, I said, voice steady despite the quake. Her sister. That snapped her head around. Lydia's. My face stared back, green eyes widening in porcelain skin that used to be mine. What the? Security. But I was faster. Slamming the door. The click of the lock, a gunshot in the hush. Miss me?
Sis.
I leaned against the walnut panel, arms crossed over Maria's faded ink. Her gaze raked me, the wrong height, the wrong hue, the wrong everything. Recognition dawned slow. Then horror. Her manicure digging into the desk edge. You're impossible. You're dead. Her voice cracked, that Yale polish slipping into something raw, frightened. Lydia's fear, my fear, once tasted like vindication. Newsflash, plot twist. Grandpa left a parting gift. Turns out, you're the squatter here. I tossed the journal on her blotter. Open to the swap log. Her eyes flicked down, color draining like ink in water.
Lies.
Dad said it was experimental therapy. A transplant. You were. Helping. Denial. Brittle as her highlights. Helping? I was 15. Lydia. They strapped me to a table, pumped me full of whatever this shit is. I rattled the vial in my pocket, the serum sloshing like accusation, and shoved her dying ass into my skin. Do you know what that's like? Waking up in a body that's rotting from the inside, feeling bones that aren't yours grind with every step, while you pranced around in mine, playing debutante. She stood, chairs scraping, but her knees wobbled shell shock. Maybe. Echoes of the real me pushing back. It wasn't like that. We were saving the family. The business would have crumbled without an heir. You were nobody, a ward. A charity case. Dad chose you because you fit.
Fit.
Like a dress off the rack. Rage boiled, but I reined it, channeling Maria's street smarts. Save the TED Talk. Where's the machine? The helmet? I want my life back. Her laugh was ugly, a bark that echoed her father's. You think it's that simple? Destroy it, and we both unravel. The stabilizers, Dad controls the formula. One missed dose, and poof. She mimed explosion, but her eyes darted to the safe behind her Rothko print. Bingo. I lunged, but she hit the panic button subtle. Under the desk. Alarms hooped soft. Executive code only. Get out.
Freak.
Before I have you vanished for real. Security pounded, but I was out the window onto the fire escape. Heart slamming. The city sprawl a concrete jungle below. Vanished. Like Maria.
Like the old me.
No more games. That night, in the glow of Maria's laptop, I escalated. Anonymous emails to SEC tip lines, discrepancies in Harrington accounts, tied to offshore medical trials. Whispers to Lydia's rival influencers, grainy lab photos from the journal. Captioned, "What's the real cost of Harrington Glow?" Controversy was my weapon now, the kind that tanked stocks and egos. But doubt gnawed. Swapping back meant dooming Lydia to Maria's body. Or worse, leaving Maria's essence adrift. A ghost in the ether. Was revenge worth another soul? Grandpa's warning echoed. It shows you the monster.
2.
By week's end, Dad's stocks dipped 3%. Lydia's feeds buzzed with Harrington horror. And Victor's goons canvassed Queen's dives, flashing my Maria's photo. They were circling.
But so was I.
The fox wasn't sly anymore. It was cornered. And in the shadows of that shoebox, key in hand, I decided, no mercy. They'd built this empire on my bones. Time to burn it down. The gala was the perfect stage. Harrington Investments' annual black tie bash at the Met. Chandeliers dripping like liquid gold over tuxes and gowns that cost more than a year's rent in Maria's world. Invites were gold embossed. Exclusivity the air they breathed. I'd crashed better dives in Maria's life. But this was infiltration. Pure and venomous. I slipped in through the service entrance. Pilfered uniform hugging my frame. Tray of champagne flutes as camouflage. The serum vial burned in my bra. A ticking bomb against my skin. One injection, and the swap destabilized. Temporary chaos. Enough window to don the helmet and reclaim what's mine. But the risk?
Catastrophic.
Echoes of test subjects. Minds fracturing. Bodies seizing in limbo. Controversial didn't begin to cover it. This wasn't justice. It was jury-rigged Armageddon. Upstairs, the cloister's wing thrummed with laughter. String quartet sawing at Vivaldi like it scored their sins. I wove through the crowd. Ears tuned to their banter. Dad schmoozing senators over scotch. Lydia air-kissing influencers. Her laugh a brittle shield. Uncle Victor lurked by the bar. Bullneck straining his collar. Scanning like a hawk. Heat up the heat. My anonymous leaks had sparked a low simmer in the press. Forbes murmuring about ethical lapses in family foundations. Stocks wobbled. Dad's poker face cracking in earnings calls. They knew a rat was in the walls, but not that it wore Maria's face. Timing was everything. I'd scoped the Mets blueprints online, Maria's CUNY grind paying off in urban planning hacks, and stashed the helmet in a janitor's closet off the Egyptian wing. Wires jury-rigged to a smuggled power bank. The serum? Grandpa's cocktail of neural blockers. Dosed via syringe hidden in my heel. One prick for each. Destabilize the anchors. Force the recoil. But Lydia first, get her essence flailing. Then Dad and Victor as collateral. The twist? Maria's body couldn't hold two souls. It'd eject the intruder, leaving her essence to wherever. Heaven? Oblivion? I debated it till dawn. Maria's ghost whispering in my veins. Fight dirty.
Chica. They did.
Controversial? Hell yes. Ending a life to reclaim one? That's the gray America loves to hate. Vigilante ethics in a system that buries the poor. I cornered Lydia in the powder room, the same marble tomb where they'd staged my overdose. She was reapplying lipstick, mirror reflecting my stolen features, plump lips, freckles like constellations. You again, she hissed, spinning, clutch clattering. No security this time, she'd waved them off. Ego her blind spot. Miss me? I locked the door. Syringe glinting under the vanity lights. Her eyes bulged. Fight or flight kicking in. You're insane. This is murder. Poetic. Coming from you. I lunged, pinning her wrist. The tray shattering on tile. She thrashed, nails raking Maria's arm, drawing red lines that felt right. For once. The needle sank into her thigh, swift as betrayal. She gasped, body going rigid, eyes rolling white.
What?
Did you? Foam flecked her lips, the destabilizer chewing through synapses like acid. Your exit, princess. Enjoy the downgrade. I dragged her limp form into a stall, propping her like a drunk sorority girl. Alarms in my head. 2 minutes to the helmet. But as I bolted down the hall, heels echoing, Victor materialized 6'4" of tailored menace, blocking the closet door. Ruiz, he growled. My real name is Slap.
How?
A tail. Probably. From the Queen's stakeout. His fist connected first, knuckles cracking my jaw. Maria's resilience absorbing the blow. We grappled. His bulk against my wiry fury, foster kid scrappiness versus enforcer brute. I kneed his groin, grabbed a mop handle, swung wild. It glanced off his shoulder, but bought seconds. Door slammed, helmet yanked on, wire snaking to my temples. The hum built, a swarm in my skull. Visions collided, Lydia's cotillion waltzes. My Bronx Alley scraps. Maria's Subway symphonies. Then Dad burst in. Face thunderous. Syringe in his fist, backup dose. His ace. Stop this. Clara, whatever you are, it's over. We gave you a life. A cage. I snarled, flipping the override switch. The key slotted home. Brass biting copper. Electricity arced. Blue fire licking the air. Pain exploded. Every nerve a live wire. Souls slamming like freight trains. I saw it then. The twist Grandpa buried in code. The swap wasn't just Lydia for me. Dad had initiated it years prior. His own mind edging into Victor's younger frame during a hunting accident that left the original Victor vegetative. Power consolidated. The fox puppeteering the pack. Betrayal inverted. Not just stealing my body, but a chain of thefts. Grandpa the unwilling architect. Forced to refine the tech under duress. The reversal hit like a gut punch. Lydia's essence flooded back. Shrieking into her original shell, decayed. Frail. Collapsing in the powder room. Victor's borrowed vigor fled, leaving Dad's aging husk exposed, wheezing as his true age caught up. And me? Clarity crashed in. I was Clara Ruiz. Yes. But Maria's fire had fused. A hybrid born of their crime. No clean swap, the machine wore down. Spent. Leaving echoes in all of us. Sirens wailed outside. Gala guests scattering as paramedics swarmed. Dad, unmasked, frail, babbled to cops about medical emergencies, but the Journal, emailed to every major outlet pre-gala, spilled the serum, headlines screaming Harrington dynasty built on body-snatching horror. Stocks cratered 40% by morning. Lydia catatonic in Bellevue. Victor catatonic in his own withered skin.
Me?
I slipped the chaos. Maria's passport in hand, bound for the border, somewhere the fox couldn't hunt. Was it happy? Tragic? Asked the tabloids. Vigilante heiress or mad scientist spawn. I walk now with 2 strides, Clara's poise. Maria's grit, key melted down into a pendant, a talisman against mirrors. They debate it still. In bars and vlogs, monster or martyr. I don't care. I unlocked the secret, and in the shards, found myself. The real America, the one that devours and rebirths, doesn't do tidy ends. It just keeps turning the key.